Good afternoon. We're going to talk about four-wheel drive and how to use it in a Toyota Sequoia. Roadside, while we're inside our Toyota Sequoia, it's a 2013 Toyota Sequoia. Snowy outside. It's a little bit of random road surface, some gravel, some snow, some pavement. And in our Sequoia, we typically run it in 4 high pretty much all winter. And because it's got what we understand to be an open differential, even in 4 high, you get enough wheel slippage that nothing seems to bind even when you're turning on dry pavement or driving on dry pavement. And so we like this because instead of going two-wheel drive, which is this setting over here, it gives us more confidence to know that all the wheels are going to be spinning at relatively the same speed if you get to a section of road that has some ice on it. So if you're going around a corner and you're on a highway or in the road in the city and one wheel starts spinning, you've got your other wheels that are also getting power. Now, because it's open differentials, it is possible that you will still not get power transmission to the wheel that's slipping immediately or to the other wheels that have grip, because power through a four-wheel drivetrain with open differentials means that it basically flows like water through pipes. It follows the path of least resistance. So we will get one wheel that starts to spin faster where it has the slippage. But with traction control, it will actually brake that wheel and then stop that from spinning so that theoretically you can keep getting traction on the wheels that have grip. So, four-wheel high essentially connects your engine to your transfer case and your transfer case to your front and rear drivetrains. Now, what we would use two-wheel drive for is pretty much only, we use that in the summertime when dry roads, you're on the highway or going around the city. If we started to get on some loose gravel roads, that's when you would probably switch on to four-wheel high, because it's going to act a little bit like snow or icy roads where you might get all wheels start to lose grip as you're going around a corner if you're maybe using a little bit too much acceleration. And in the case of having two-wheel drive, your rear tires, if they start spinning, your front tires aren't helping pull you forward. So you could, essentially have a start into a donut type scenario where you're spinning out. Some people would call it a power slide. Some people call it a drift. Call it what you will. You would start losing control. So with four high on something like gravel, it's again very similar to snow, to ice, where you've got front wheels that are going to be pulling you forward and getting some additional stability to the vehicle. And again, that's aided by traction control, that if you get wheels that start slipping, it will give you some additional safety that way, where it doesn't, a wheel that starts slipping will just continue to spin. It will start getting braked, and then you'll have power to the other wheels that are getting grip. And that's really a function of ABS style traction control, or wheel speed sensor traction control, where the speed of each wheels are being monitored by your ECU or your maybe the body control unit of your car, but your vehicle's electronics are diagnosing whether you're getting slippage on one wheel or multiple wheels, and it starts to apply brakes. Not all cars have that, but some cars do. Our Toyota Sequoia does, and that's one of the reasons we like it. Our Land Rover Discovery also has a similar system to that, where it has wheel speed sensors, assesses how fast things are going, and then it will change the view or the speed of the wheels by braking. So in this kind of terrain, 4 high typically all you need. But we've got something else here. There's a 4 low, which is right here. Why would we use 4 low? 4 low essentially changes the gearing that's getting used to transfer the power from your engine through into your transfer case and out onto your wheels. So you get a mechanical advantage, which is basically like putting your bike into the granny gear or the easy gear. So you can climb hills easier without using as much power. Now the flip side is you can't go as fast. But generally when you're going slow and you're in a situation where you're really trying to get out of some rocky situation, you're trying to go over rocks or you're trying to get through some mud or maybe some snow, that mechanical advantage can be really helpful. And it's really helpful when you're going up hills. It can also be helpful going down hills because you can use that mechanical advantage to help with the gear reduction that will actually give you a mechanic or an engine braking function. So you can use your gears in 4 low just like you can use your gears in 4 high, but because your gears are geared differently, you get a view that is, I keep on saying a view, but you get a functionality that helps slow you down by using the engine braking. So that's when you would use 4 low. So to use 4 low, I can show you quickly. You basically want to go into neutral. So you go into neutral and then you press it in and then you go to 4 low. And then you're going to get the 4 low sign showing up in your dash, and it also turns off your traction control so that you get the ability to slip a little bit more. But what that also does is you get something that is called A-Track for Toyotas. It's basically traction control, and it works a little bit more aggressively in the 4 low setting. So it will really limit wheel slippage and maintain almost like a lock differential scenario, even though you don't have lock differentials. Now, on Toyota Sequoias, you've got another thing here called the center diff lock button. So on a Toyota Sequoia, you've got 3 differentials. You've got a front diff that connects your left and right wheel. You've got a rear diff, so this is your front diff at the front. Then you got a rear diff in the back where the front and rear wheels connect, and they connect to your center drive shaft. And then the center diff, which is your transfer case. You've got a front drive shaft and a rear drive shaft. And essentially what happens is you can lock your center transfer case. So when you do that, one front wheel and one rear wheel will be going the same speed all the time. So if you were to lock your differential, your center differential, on dry pavement in 4 high, and you started doing really tight circles, you'd probably start to hear your tires chirp, because they would be, you'd have one front wheel, one rear wheel that are trying to go at the same speeds. But the problem is when you go in a circle, a tight circle especially, your wheels aren't traveling at the same speed. So the tires start to spin on going slowly on dry pavement, which gives you that chirping sound as your rubber rubbing on the asphalt or the pavement. So, center locking diff really only meant to be used when it's really slippery, snow, mud, ice type scenarios where you want your front and rear connected. And otherwise, you get a more adaptable driving scenario with your center diff lock not locked. And you can drive with the center diff locked. I think it stays locked up to 80 and then it actually disengages. I'll have to check on that, but it's something like that. Because at a certain speed, you don't really want it. You don't want it locked because you want a little bit of movement, and I think you can get some binding, or what is also referred to as transfer case wind up, where you're basically putting so much pressure through your drivetrain that the gears can kind of stick together, and just because of the pressure and the force that's being put through them, So then when you try and unlock your center diff or try to go out of 4 high or 4 low back into 2-wheel drive, it may not go back out because it's got enough pressure between the gears in the transfer case that it won't release. And then sometimes to fix that, you can just put your car into reverse and then go backwards and then go into neutral for a bit, then go forward. And sometimes that's enough to make it, to fix it, and it'll unlock. Sometimes you can just, even as you're driving, release off the gas a little bit, and that can fix it. Other times you can change into a different gear using your gear shifter. You know, if you go into your sport mode and then you change gear, that can actually fix your problem and make it go out of the bind situation. And then if you want to take it out of 4 low, you're in neutral again. You can see I'm in neutral. It says neutral there. And then you can push and then go back to 4 high. And then you can see here we've gone back to 4 high. And our traction control is back on again. Now, traction control, sometimes if you want to play around, you do have a button that you have to press and hold, and then that will give you a ability to take your traction control off, which some people like to do. And you can also take off your stability control, RSCA off, and that's where you get the body roll sensors. And basically, if you're really trying to get out of some stuck situation, sometimes that can be helpful to prevent the vehicle from stopping your car from limiting power. The other situation, if you want to do donuts, then people do that as well. They take the stability control off, they take the traction control off, and then they start doing donuts in the parking lot. But if you really get stuck, sometimes playing around with that can be helpful. We're going to do a little video soon with some trying to get the A-track or the traction control in 4 low to show how it can be a little bit more aggressive than when it's in 4 high to get you over things when you have a front and rear wheel that have no traction. Because even if you have your center diff locked and you have traction one wheel in the front, one wheel in the back, you're still, because you've got open diffs, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be able to crawl through it. So that 4 low with that A-track or stability or traction control setting that works to brake on the spinning front and rear wheels can actually still let you pull through situations like that. Very similar to a Land Rover and that traction control system. And we'll give you a video on that hopefully pretty soon. But hopefully this was informative for everybody or whoever's interested. And we'll see you again next time.